Alright, welcome back to another episode. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I diagnosed a problem with my trailer, tow, stop, and turn signals on my 2015 F150. So you probably guessed from the title of the video, probably while you're watching this. Here's what happened. Recently, I used my truck to pull a car hauler with electric brakes. I have the optional trailer tow controller built in. Everything worked fine. I had all my lights working on the trailer, the electric brakes, everything worked great. Fast forward a few months, I went and rented a piece of equipment that came with a small trailer, did not have electric brakes, plugged it in. The parking lights worked, but the turn signals and stop lamps did not work on the trailer. I obviously assumed it was the trailer. The place I rented it from tested the trailer. It was not, in fact, the trailer, it was my truck. There was no output to the trailer, and I just tested that real quick. I just took this little 7-pin to 4-pin adapter I have here. You can just, it's got LED lights on it. So I plugged it in. Honestly, all you need is your keys to test it, because if you hit the unlock button, parking lights come on, and your stop lamps should flash to match the brake lights, but they're not. So I got to thinking, why would the parking lights work and not the stop and turn lamps? Alright, so it's important to understand, first of all, that in 2015 Ford completely changed the way that the trailer wiring works on these trucks. They made it much more complicated. Instead of being just relays or direct feed like in the old days, it became a module controlled situation. The reason for that is because some of the trucks had the optional trailer backup assist module. It's all kind of part of one thing. So on my truck, I do not have the trailer backup assist. I just have the trailer brake controller. So I immediately became suspicious, possibly a fuse or relay type situation. So that's where we go get our owner's manual. Turn to that section. This is all controlled on the battery junction box under the hood here. This part of my manual has unfortunately got a lot of attention. Alright, so here's where we start looking, and obviously we have our relays that run down the middle, and the back side actually looks like this, looking at it. And then we have fuses up here. So if we start looking through here, we want to look for everything that has to do with, so right here, 61 brake control module. That's probably not it though, because that's the ABS. So right here, 49 trailer brake control module, which my trailer brake control module, which is the one that you squeeze over there, it was working fine. It was showing on the screen. Right here though, we see trailer tow parking lamps, so 25 amp fuse on position 34. Trailer tow stop turn relay fuse, trailer tow lamps module. So 35 and 36 on my truck, this 20 amp and 25 amp are the ones I was concerned with, because those are what powers the trailer lights that are not working. Obviously the park lamps work, so I was sure that one's okay. So I checked these two fuses and they were fine. So again, my truck 2015, it was 34 and 35. So if we're looking into the hood, 34 and 35 is where we want to look. Again, they're kind of a weird fuse, but you can just test continuity with a multimeter. So I knew I had power going there, and this is where things started to get a little complicated. So maybe I should do the easy stuff first. Alright, so these trucks are known to have connection issues here in the back. So if you reach right up behind here, you'll see that there's a connector It plugs right into the back of this, and it can come loose and can get clogged up with gunk and dirt and debris from being back here where it's exposed to the elements. It can even get corrosion, and that can cause connection problems. There's also about 5 other connectors into the back of the truck. So I took those all apart, sprayed them with contact cleaner, used the Ford dielectric grease, put everything back together. Still didn't have anything for my left-hand turn stop and right-hand turn stop. The nice thing is they actually have a little guide on here which shows you which pin is what. And this is just bridged to the 4-pin here. Same thing, says right stop, left stop, rear lights, and negative. So that's like your parking lights. So you can just put a multimeter back here and test for voltage. Again, I had nothing. So now I said, okay, time to dig into some wiring harnesses. All right, so I printed out a couple wiring diagrams here. So this says 4-way trailer tow. This is 7-way trailer tow. But long story short, it's basically the same situation. So in this one here, it shows that the body control module sends trailer tow right stop turn and left stop turn. That supposedly goes into a relay in the battery junction box, which is the one under the hood, that is not serviceable. Okay, so if you just have a 4-way trailer tow and one of these relays goes bad, you have to replace the whole battery junction box, according to Ford. So I was hoping that wasn't the situation. But again, this says 4-way trailer tow. So over here, 7-way trailer tow, we add a module. So if you look, this is it says trailer/camper adapter. And again, my truck does not have the backup assist. And I can read these out to you. So the parking lights is a brown wire here. And basically, it has its own relay in the battery junction box. And then it's bridged on a harness that goes to the back, and then also goes to this module, this unknown module here. And then we have a yellow wire, which is our left-hand stop and turn signal. We have a green wire, which is the right-hand stop turn signal. A battery wire, which is orange, which is, you know, just fused 12 volts going to your trailer. So if you charge a battery on the trailer or whatever. Also coming into the module, there's a separate connector I'll show you in a minute that is CAN bus, so your module communications network, and ground. And then obviously what I just talked about out there, here's 2 power inputs, and that is F35 and F36. Remember I said the 2 fuses in the battery control, or the battery junction box that we just talked about? Those are what feed this module. So here is what the module looks like, and I'll show you in just a second where it is in the truck. So this is the connector that goes back to the trailer. This is those 2 power inputs. This is your CAN bus and your ground input coming in on the small connector here. Alright, so we're on the driver's side of the truck. We come in under here. You saw that bracket in the garage. It's off of here right now, but it's just basically bolted right up under the dash here. And I also have an optional remote start system that was zip tied to it. So if you don't have that optional system, that won't be in here anywhere. So here's the module hanging right here now without the bracket. I'll show you the connectors. So basically what I did is I disconnected the main connector that goes to the back. And this is where you can do continuity tests from the back to here to make sure you don't have any harness problems. But really what I wanted to look at was, with this connected back probe, these wires here, I had no 12 volts on the orange line, and I had no 12 volts on, you know, my left and right hand turn signal stop line coming out of the module. When I tested the input, these are those 2 12 volt fuse circuits coming in. I did have 12 volts coming into the module. So I had power coming in but not coming out. That means I either have a control issue, so I have a CAN bus problem, or the module itself is bad. So if we go ahead and take this out, basically what I did is I tested these wires. You have a CAN low and a CAN high wire. And I'll show you those again here in a second on the diagram. And depending on the quality of your multimeter, I was just looking for a little bit of voltage on each of those wires, which I did have, which indicated basically, doesn't mean the CAN bus is 100% functioning correctly, but it's at least telling me there's not a break in the wire and there is signal coming on this wire to the module. So it's basically Ford Module 101. If you've got power, ground, and CAN bus coming to a module but no output, the module's bad. Alright, so again we have for the CAN bus lines, it looks like a gray and orange cable and a violet and orange cable. Those are your two CAN bus lines. The black one is the ground. So the green wire also coming out of there, that goes to the body control module, and that is the trailer theft alarm. So I assume that's an optional feature. If someone unplugs your trailer while your truck is parked and armed, it will set the alarm off. I'm guessing, not 100% on that, but that's what that's for. So those are the wires I tested. So I decided I'm not going to buy a new module from Ford. I went on eBay, found a junkyard part. I just matched up the part numbers one for one, made sure they're the exact same part number. And unlike a lot of Ford modules, this is kind of a dummy module. It doesn't have a lot of the VIN coding and stuff, like if you were to replace like your instrument cluster or whatever. It's a very simple module. So if you just match up the part number and make sure everything's the same, which I did, my part number is in my, everything is the same. Plugged it in, and to my surprise, that was it. It was just like it said it should be. It was the module, and everything started working again. Why this one went bad, I don't know. I took it apart, looked at it. I even tested there's a little small relay inside. Everything seemed to be working good. Who knows, there could have been a short on one of the trailers that blew something in the module that didn't blow the fuse. Again, not really, I don't think this is the best setup that Ford could have come up with, just because it really overcomplicates things. I understand if you need a module to control all that fancy guiding the trailer backwards, but we're talking about lighting. Just simple turn signals and brakes, something that should be controlled by a relay. Instead, it runs through a module. Alright, so see, the module just bolts to this bracket up in here. Alright, so put our two bolts in, plug our module back in. First I'm going to connect the harness going to the back. Then I'm going to connect the CAN bus line. And last I will reconnect the power. I have to zip tie my remote start module back up in there. Alright, so there's one other clue that you don't necessarily need, but it actually helps diagnose the module as being bad. So I hooked up my scan tool to the truck. I just used ForeScan, and I got a U0252 code on the body control module, which basically means lost communication with the lighting control module rear B, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, just because the truck doesn't necessarily have a lighting control module. And then I had an additional fault code from the PAM module, or the parking aid module, which is like the sensors on the back. There's a module for that. And it also had a U0252, which is lost communication with the lighting control module rear B. So that tells me that the module is not communicating on the CAN bus network to the other modules that are looking for it, which also says, hey, the module's bad. Now, whether the module just has a wire going to it that has a blown fuse or whatever the issue, but that was another clue. All right, so now we hook up our eBay module. When I hit the button, you see parking lights come on and our lights flash the way they're supposed to. Okay, so that's how I diagnosed the problem with the trailer lighting on my truck. Not gonna lie, I was half tempted just to bypass everything and run some wires from the taillights, but I wanted to get it fixed right, especially since it was causing some codes, not a check engine light or anything, but some codes to show up on the dash. And also, not that I like using the auto start stop feature, but another clue is the auto start stop feature on the truck was not working. And when I checked it on the instrument cluster, the menu for auto start stop, it said that the reason the auto start stop was disabled was because the trailer was connected even when there was no trailer connected. So again, another clue. Alright, so hopefully the video was helpful. There's not a lot out there on the internet about this subject. And again, these 2015 up Ford trucks can be a little trickier just because there's a module involved. So hopefully it was helpful. If you have a question or comment, or maybe something like this has happened to you, please leave a comment below. Be sure to like the video if it helped you out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. And until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.